Hey guys, welcome back. So what we're looking at today is lesson 12, finding the volume of right prisms. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So what we're looking at here is we've got this table. So obviously my table's drawn out. You have a table in your books. We've got our 5 different prisms, and then we're determining whether or not it represents a prism. What the area of the base is the next column, then height, then volume. So I know it's a little hard to see, so if you have any issues, it is the same table that's in your workbooks, so just follow along with that. So our first figure here, we have this cube. So first of all, is it a prism? Yes, it is a prism. All of the sides are nice and straight. They are all the same, and it's closed. So this is a prism. So the area of the base. Note, it's telling you the area of the base right here. It's telling you that it's 25 centimeters squared. Because remember, with a cube, any one of the 6 faces can be the base. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It can be any of the 6 can be the base. So then the height. Well, the height isn't actually wrote on here, but if we think about it, in order to get one of the square faces to have an area of 25, we're taking the sides and multiplying together. So base times height, so what times what gives us 25? Well, 5. So our height is 5. Now, to find the volume, we're going to multiply the area of our base and our height together. So we're going to take 25 times 5, which is going to give us 125 centimeters cubed. So volume will always be a cubic measure because we're dealing with 3 dimensions. So because these are 3-dimensional, we have a cubic unit of measure. So always make sure to include that little 3. So on this one, it'd be centimeters cubed for your answer. So you always want to have that, okay? So this was our first shape. Now we're going to take a look at the next one. So here we have another figure. Now this, notice the base is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have a 5-sided base. This is a pentagonal prism because it's a pentagon on the bottom. Is it a prism? Yes, it is. I just told you that. So remember, a prism is going to have all the straight, flat sides. The sides, so each of these little sides here, they're all rectangles. So they are all rectangular. That's what gives us that prism. So the base, remember, can either be the top or bottom of the prism. Specifically in cases like this, where it's not rectangular or cube, you have to be careful about what the base is. So the base is the one that the 2 sides are the same. It's that unique polygon shape. So in this case, it's our pentagon, and it tells us right up here that the area, I almost said volume, is 15 centimeters squared. So then what's the, or wait, yes, 15 centimeters squared, sorry. So now what is the height going to be? Now, be careful with this one, because what does this say here? 45 centimeters squared. So that means it's not actually giving us what the height is, it's giving us the area of one of these sides. Well, in order for that to be 45 centimeters squared, it's going to have a height of 15. So that long side there, that is 15. So 15 times 15 is going to give us 225 centimeters cubed. So that is our volume, 225 centimeters cubed. So finding volume is all about finding what the area of your base is and what your height is and multiplying them together. So we'll go ahead and do another. So here we have this one. Now, is this a prism? Do we have 2 unique polygon bases separated by rectangles? No, we have a polygonal base, but the sides are all triangles coming together at a point. So this is a pyramid, not a prism. So this one is not a prism. All right, we'll look at one more. Okay, now for this one, we still have triangles, but notice this right here is a rectangle. So we have a triangle being separated by rectangles. I know the shading on this is hard to see. This down here is our other base. So there's a base, there's a base. Okay? So we have our different bases. Now, for this, our base is this 24 centimeters squared. So yes, this is a prism. Base is 24 centimeters squared. And so it's giving us the area of all the sides, which I know gets very, very confusing. But this right here, our rectangle is going to have a height of 6. So we take 24 times 6, and we end up with 144 centimeters cubed. So this is what we're looking at when we look at volume of prisms. You're going to take the area of the base times the height. So area of the base times the height. All right, we're going to look at another thing here. Give me 1 second. Okay. So what's the prism's height? So we're going to look at all prisms on this. And for this, we're taking and have these unique bases here. Sorry, let me get that all right. Okay, so we have these unique bases here. So we've got A, B, C, and D. These are all the different bases that 4 of our prisms have. So the base is both the bottom and the top, remember, so it can be either or. And so in this case, we want to take and figure out, order the prisms from shortest to tallest. Explain your reasoning. So the key thing here is there are 4 different prisms that all have the same volume. Here's what the base of each prism looks like. So we've got all of these are going to have the same volume. So the first thing we need to figure out is, well, what is the area of each of these bases? That way we can figure out what the height has to be for each of them to determine which is the tallest. So if we look at this first one, we have a rectangle here that's 1 by 2, so this has an area of 2, and a rectangle here that's 2 by 3, so it's 6. So 2 plus 6 is 8. So this has an area of 8 units squared. Now our triangle here. Sorry, that's hard for you to see. There we go. So our triangle here has a base of 1, 2, 3, a height of 1, 2, 3, 4. To find the area of a triangle, we multiply base times height, so 3 times 4, which is 12, and then divide by 2. Do not forget to divide by 2, okay? So we end up with an area of 6 units squared. Now for C, we're going to decompose this. We've got 2 triangles now, and then this rectangle. So we've got a side of 1, 2, 3, and a base of 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 times 4 is 12. Now, these 2 little triangles are identical, so we only really need to find the area of one of them and multiply it by 2. So it has a base of 1 and a height of 2, so 1 times 2 is 2, divided by 2 is 1, and so each of them are 1, and so our area of the base is 12 plus 1 plus 1, so it's 14 units squared. Now for D, we have each of these little individual squares put together here. So the area of each, for this, it's easiest just to count it. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 units squared. So now that we have all the area of the bases, we can figure out which is the shortest and which is the tallest. So if they all have the same volume, that means whatever that value is, we divide that by each of these values. So if we divide it by 14, is that going to be a bigger or smaller number than if we divide it by 6? Well, it's going to be smaller. 14 is going to go into whatever this volume is less times than 6 will, because 6 is smaller. So 14 is going to be the tallest. So C will be the tallest, which means A will be the next tallest, B will be the next, and that leaves D to be the shortest, because D has the smallest base area, which means it has to have the tallest height. For number 2, if the volume of each prism is 60 units cubed, what would be the height of each prism? Well, just like I said, we're going to take and divide these. So we would take 60 divided by 8 to find out what that is going to be. So let's see, that's going to be a decimal, 60. 8 can go into 64 7 times, 56, 4, so 7.5. So the height on A is 7.5. Now on B, we have 6, so we're taking 60 divided by 6, and we're going to get 10 for B. For C, we're going to take 14 and divide by that, so 60 divided by 14. Okay, so 14 times 4 is 56. We get a 4, add the 0. So now it can go in 2 times, which is 28. 2, 1, 12. This is going to keep going on, so we're going to leave it at 4.2 approximately for C. And then for D, we have 5, so we're going to take 60 divided by 5, and we get 12. So here are our different heights. For A, it's 7.5. For B, it's 10. For C, it's 4.2. And for D, it's 12. So these are the different heights, which shows us that we were right in our shortest to tallest ordering that we did before. So let's see, B, C is 4.2 centimeters, and D is 12 centimeters. So D had the biggest height with 12. So, oops, I ordered them backwards on the first one, didn't I? Whoops. All right, it should be C. Sorry about that, guys. I was thinking of it backwards. A. Oops, not A. C. And then, yeah, A, B, D. There we go. I apologize for that. I was thinking of it backwards as I wrote it out the first time. So, notice though, C is 4.2, so it would be the shortest. A is 7.5, so it'd be next. B was 10, and then D was 12. So our last one, our D, did have the largest height of all of these because it had the smallest base area, so it has to be the biggest. So for a volume other than 60 units cubed, what could be the height of each prism? Well, for this, it just depends on what we make the volume. So it's all about taking some volume and dividing it by each of these values. So if we take and let's say the volume is 48. Volume 48. A, which remember was 8 units. 48 divided by 8 is going to give us 6. For B, it was 6, so 48 divided by 6 is going to give us 8. For C, we had 14, so 48 divided by 14 is going to give us 4. And D, 48 divided by 5 is going to give us, hang on, that's backwards. There we go, 2.4. And then, sorry, I looked at this wrong. And then 48 divided by 5, 5 can go in there 9 times. So we have 45 with 3 left over. So 9.6. So once again, D still has the largest height, C still has the smallest height, and A and B are there in the middle. So no matter what you do with the volume, you're always going to have the largest height for D and the smallest height for C every single time. So questions on that? All right. So your keyword for this lesson is volume. Volume. Volume is all about taking, like I've said, taking your base area, so finding the area of the base, and then multiplying it by whatever your height may be. So that's what you guys are looking at doing in this. Okay? All right, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Have a great day, guys. Bye.